Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Totally Well Show. I'm your host, Joyce Strong. The Totally Well Show is a place where we get curious, ask questions, and explore everything to do with health, wellness, fitness, personal development, helping people, and all the things it takes to help you live a strong, joyous life. My guest in this episode is John Hanson, John D. Hanson, if you're looking for him on LinkedIn. And he is the author of Wow Your Customers, 7 Ways to World-Class Service. You can reach him at 7waysmenu.com, 7, the number 7, and on all social media platforms. And if you have any trouble finding him, check the show notes or reach out to me. And in this episode, we talk about the customer experience as it relates to healthcare professionals like me, who I'm a nurse and a coach, a Total Well coach. And one of the things I struggle with is, am I giving my customers a good experience, and am I retaining customers and finding the right customers? And John and I are going to collaborate on some other things as we move forward. But for today, we're especially talking about that there are 4 kinds of customers, and discovering your customer discovery, that term, or discovering who your customers are, is not exactly what you thought it was. So we're going to reframe that for you so that you really get a handle on customer discovery, and then how to make changes in your approach, and how you follow up with people, and that you follow up with people, and make sure that you're talking to people who are your customers. So I can't tell the whole thing. You're going to have to watch the episode to find out more about that. And do stay tuned for future episodes where John and I are going to talk about what your ideal customer is and other things that we can do to help set the stage for success, and making the most of your time and their time, and doing the things that help people the most with your coaching and your practice, and all the whether or not you're a chiropractor or a social work or nurse like I am, or nutrition coach. It all has to do with helping people. That's what we have in common. So I'm so excited. I thought a little bit outside the box today to interview somebody who really does have a lot to do with helping people, who is not a nutrition coach like me, but is still in the business of helping people. So thank you to John Hanson for coming on the show today. Enjoy this episode. Give us a thumbs up, 5-star review, share it. You know, the more you like it, the more you comment, the more you give me feedback, the better I can tweak it, get better guests and more guests and people of interest to you. When I say better, I just mean better suited to the questions you have. And it just helps more people find us. So I really appreciate when you do that for me, because I read every review and I'm very grateful. So enjoy this show. Love to talk to you soon. Hey, good morning, John. It's so great to have you today on Totally Well Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. And this is John Hanson. And when I first saw your initials on your LinkedIn profile, I'm like, I don't know what these things stand for. CX, what is it? CE, CX, expert, trainer. Like, what do you do? And sometimes when I'm making friends and meeting people, it's a little bit of like breaking the ice to try to figure out, you know, can we help each other? And as I started to get to understand about the customer experience, and even smaller service businesses like mine, where I coach people around health and nutrition, could learn something from you. So that's what I wanted you to talk with me about today.
Wonderful. Well, you know what? I learned a tremendous amount about it. And I was wrong about 3 things. I thought that customer service and customer experience were kind of the same thing, but they're not. So I learned that a couple of years ago when I started this research. Another thing that I was wrong about is I thought there was only one type of customer, and I found out I was wrong. There's actually 4 types of customers. And then I also thought, well, there's multiple types, but we all know who the most important customer is, and I found I was wrong about that too. So I was wrong about 3 things, but it dramatically changed how I was able to help people in the customer experience space. And customer service and customer experience are different. And so I'd love to shed some light on that.
I would love to hear this, and particularly if you can give us examples as it relates to, you know, people who I've interviewed, or there's some book authors, but they're coaches, they're nurses, or nurses outside the box, you know, that kind of
Right.
doctors, chiropractors. And so how can we, and even when we're smaller practices, I think, I can't afford to get help around this. I'm barely able to figure out my scheduling. And then the marketing piece and, all those things. So.
Yes. Well, that is definitely a challenge for everyone. What I discovered was that customer service is an aspect of customer experience. I just didn't know they called it that. I've always been strongly empathetic, and I've always been people focused since I was a kid. So that naturally segued into, I've been in customer facing roles since I was 18. So for 25 years, over 25 years.
Yeah.
And in that time, in multiple industries, I received top marks wherever they measured it with feedback on customer satisfaction. I was always at the top of my team. But I didn't know they called it customer experience. I just thought I was taking the very best care of people, because I also had great feedback from my management. I moved up quickly in responsibility and leadership opportunities, and from my coworkers. So I worked well with all people. Well, it turns out that that's essentially what customer experience is. It's every human touch point in an organization.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at how holistic and how big that is, customer experience isn't related to or connected to just the person that buys from you, that needs your product or service or coaching. The customer experience is every human touch point in what you do, personally and professionally on a daily basis. Because the customer service is what we give. This is where I put it into a nutshell. Mm-hmm. Customer service is what we give, what we provide to the people that need our product or service. And we can fine tune that, we can train that, we can learn tools and processes to make it better. Mm-hmm. Customer experience, however, is what they take away. It's our brand. So it's who we are, it's what we do, it's who we're connected with. And then tied into that is what I just talked about earlier, is that when I actually, and this is not incredibly fascinating, Joyce, to be honest, but I pulled out my dictionary when I wrote my first book on customer service. I promised myself if I ever came across a word that I thought could be rich in meaning, I wouldn't just go with the definition that I held for many years, that either I'd been told or I'd read somewhere. That no, I'm going to pull out my dictionary, my Webster's bright red hardcover dictionary from college days, pop that baby open and see, what does the word mean? And every time I've done that, it has been a paradigm change for me. So I did that for the word customer. And here's what I discovered. The origin of the word, it comes from the Old English, accustomed. We put a dollars and cents meaning to it, and that is one of the definitions. But at its origin, at its purest origin, it was someone you regularly interacted with. Mm-hmm. So taking that definition then, a customer that samples what you have to offer once and then never returns, not a customer at its purest definition. They may have bought from you, they may have tried things out, but they didn't come back and they didn't establish a relationship that was ongoing. That's not actually a customer. But then when I took that definition, right, of people we regularly interact with, that's where I had the paradigm shift of, so there are people we regularly interact with that do not pay us money for what we do, but it so strongly impacts our brand, our customer experience, that we have to identify all four types and engage all four types, or we will not have a holistically good customer experience.
Wow, that is a paradigm shift.
Well, it was gigantic.
Yeah.
It was gigantic. Because the first one that comes to our minds is the customer that's paying us money, keeping the lights on. Don't say this if you have customers to them, okay? Don't say this. But they're not actually the most important customer type. Believe it or not, they're not. They are very important, yes. But it's like Richard Branson said, you treat your employees so well that they don't want to leave, so that they take the very best care of your customers. So part of the customer experience is the employee experience. So if anybody watching has team members that work for them, mm-hmm. that's their internal customer. That's the second type that's even more important than the external customer who pays you the money. Mm-hmm. But you say, well, that doesn't apply to me, John, because I'm a solopreneur. Okay, but do you depend upon other people, other businesses that provide products or services so that you can do your business? The answer is always yes. I mean, the technology platform we're on right now, the reason so many people use Zoom is because it's a reliable platform that enables me to have a chat with you, Joyce, on the East Coast when I'm here in Ohio. So that's something we rely on. We all have internal customers, whether they're if we're one person or if we're 25,000 people, we have internal customers. And those relationships are even more important because you and I both know of so many examples of people that if they were in a culture that wasn't positive, that wasn't healthy, they leave. They leave. They don't enjoy work, and it affects the external customer experience as well. So those first two types, but most companies, if they have a customer experience plan, it usually stops with those two. A lot don't even go to the internal customer, the employees or suppliers or networks or professionals that are in the same industry, referrals, that sort of thing. They often stop there, but there's two more if you go deeper when you think about, okay, who do we regularly interact with? Well, the next level down is the inner circle. And these people are your family, your close friends. Now, the list of close friends I found out was actually very, very small. When we went through a really tough time, my list of who I thought my friends were to who our actual friends were came down to about three families that stuck with us in the thin times. And that's when you know who your true friends are. Those people that if you picked up the phone and asked for help, they would come. I have a very short list of people that fit that. I hope I'm that to some people as well. More than three, I hope. So inner circle, but part of that too are coaches and mentors. And the reason I say that because there are two different similar roles, but two different ways. Mentors are ones that someone poured into their life, and so they're paying it forward, giving it back into someone else, someone who wants to learn, someone who's hungry, like best practices and what to do and what not to do. Mentors are giving because someone gave to them, and they're established, they're successful. And so I added a business mentor last year, and that was a huge help. He's been a tremendous help with me professionally and personally. But then coaches are ones that you pay, that you say, I would like to learn and develop professionally and personally. And this is a growing segment in the economy, and rightly so. I mean, if the world's best athletes have coaches to improve their performance, and that's not frowned upon, then why wouldn't we add that as a line item in our personal budget so that we can professionally and personally advance? That it's not surprising that people that add those, that third level of customer, when you're regularly interacting with these people, it's a multiplier for how well your business does. Whether you're a solopreneur or whether you're a manager of a major or a mid-level company, having those people in your lives and those relationships being strong is really important. Those customers, those people you regularly interact with, how many people, if their home life is having a hard time, whether they try to or not, that has to affect your work. It has to affect your team. It has to affect the people you serve. So if that third level of customer isn't healthy, then it's going to affect your internal customers and it's going to affect your external customers. It has to. And then the last one, which was the most shocking for me, Joyce, I when I realized this, it was a real game changer, was I like to fly. And it might seem weird, not because it's the little bag of peanuts, that I get, or occasional orange juice once in a while. But I like to fly. I'm going to a new place. I love the view from 30,000 feet. Every time they go through that safety demonstration, and some will do a great job of it, but they all have to follow the same script. And when they get to the point that says if there's a loss in cabin pressure and the masks drop from the ceiling, who does the mask go on first?
Yeah, on ourselves.
Ourselves, so that we can help the people on either side of us.
Yeah.
So the most important customer, the one you interact with by far the most, is yourself.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So you can't pour from an empty cup. I used to think self-care was selfish because the word self is in it. I mean, how simple-minded is that? But But self-care, nobody else is going to do it for you. And in the solopreneur, small business world, even in the Fortune 500, self-care is so notoriously poor that people are working themselves to death, and they're not investing back into themselves in coaching, in learning, in hydration, in sleep, in exercise, in laughter, low, no cost things that people just are not good at doing. And when I realized that the most important customer is me, that's where it changed the paradigm of I need to be continually investing in myself so that everybody else gets the best of me, not what's left over. Nobody wants the leftovers. I mean, come on. You open the fridge, do you really want those, or do you want fresh and new?
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Wow. That
Really,
makes so
really
much sense as you're saying it, but it's really, it's hard to wrap your head around at first to say, okay, now how do we go about doing this? And it's also, my immediate impression is, you know, work, and, you know, show me the money. I want the end result, you know, to have, and not that I'm trying to be, I don't want to qualify it. You know, there's nothing wrong with making money, but my immediate response is I just want to pay my bills. And right there is not treating me, number one customer, the best. Like, why wouldn't you want more?
Well, and I think most entrepreneurs have that drive. I was selling pictures, hand-drawn pictures to my neighbors when I was 7.
Oh,
They
wow.
wouldn't make
What a
good.
good idea.
A nickel or a dime for them or something. Oh, it was horrible. But people still paid me. I've had that drive since I was so little. I think people often innately have that within them. And now the stats show that more people have a side hustle going on than don't. And I think that's actually healthy to diversify. When I worked for a major auto manufacturer, and I only worked for them for about a year, before a better opportunity came along. While I was there, I heard more than once someone retire after 25, 30 years. That's all they had done professionally. And within a year or two, they had passed away. Something where that was their only thing, or it was so consuming as their only thing. Yeah. That when they were unplugged from that, somehow their body decided, oh, I guess we're done. So having a side hustle or having something you're developing and crafting on the side while you have something that's paying the bills is actually very healthy. It's proven to be that way. So I commend you for that. And anybody doing it, I know what it's like to have a side hustle going while you've got a full-time thing going and family and friends. But I really believe having those multiple time demands is actually healthy for us, because I think we underutilize the supercomputer and it needs things to do. I think we sleep better. I think we feel better. I think if we have multiple things going on in our lives, I think we're more enriched for it. I think we underutilize the capability of our brains. And by having all those things going on, while it can be stressful, it's simply more a matter of just managing. We all have 24 hours in a day. So you only have so much time in a day. The jar is only so big. Where does the time go? And that's really just a challenge you face every day. But I like that challenge. I think it's fun, you know. Yeah. Well, how am I going to make good use of my time today?
Yeah. I think for sure filling up that space in creative ways, not some paid, some not paid, but filling them up in creative ways, and you just don't know where it's going to go.
No, and the great thing that I found too about networking, now I started aggressively networking last year because the writing was on the wall that my day job wasn't the long-term fit that I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be, hey, I'll have this job. Looks great, pays well until I retire, and I have this side hustle going on as well. And it didn't turn out to be that long term. It turned out to be 3.5 to 4 years. But that was a great experience. Loved the job. It gave me stability so that I could launch my side hustle into a full-time position. So yeah, things come up like that in life. And I started aggressively networking because the writing was on the wall. And the last time I missed the writing on the wall professionally because my metrics are good. I've got great performance. My customer satisfaction are at the top of my team. Got cut with several hundred other people.
Yeah.
where I learned that, okay, you cannot put confidence in your metrics. You need to always, always heed the writing on the wall. So if there's something that you're picking up from the company
Yeah.
that things could be changing, then it's good to have a side hustle or a plan B, C, D, E through Z.
Yeah.
You need to have that. On the other hand, if it's something that you're feeling within yourself, like maybe this culture isn't a good long-term fit,
Yeah.
listen to that too. Yeah, be honest with yourself because if you're feeling that, it's going to be impacting your work. It has to.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I was wondering this morning, I was thinking about doing the interview and I was like, all right, the whole experience for people coming to see me, what it looks like how you pick apart a business. How would you go about evaluating somebody like my business, which is just me right now doing multiple things to provide, value and service to people to help with nutrition and coaching, or people like me, often 1, 2, 3 people, very small groups, and improving that. How would you go about picking apart, I guess is the question.
Well, first, the thing you mentioned, and I hear it more and more and more. We talked about this as we were getting things set up to start, was to know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
Um, you've got to start there. And why that's even more, it's always been important, but why it's so important now, whether you're a solopreneur or Fortune 500, is that within the next 5, 10 max, but in the next 5 years for sure, the economy is going to be shifting to where customers of anywhere around the world, because I've talked to people around the world just within the last year, I've had the opportunity to talk to many people around the world on this.
Yeah.
Consumer choices are going to be based on who they know, like, and trust, not price. Relationships are going to drive who they choose to do business with.
Mm-hmm.
So the dollars and cents part of it, if they more and more people are going to have money that they're going to be allocating, the discretionary income is going to be going more towards personal enrichment, experiences, relationships, travel, rather than stuff. So that shift is going to be based on relationships. So one thing that I would say is, how are you connecting? How are your relationships growing? Because if your network is staying about the same number, then you're not going to have the opportunity to connect with more and more people who will then get to know, like, and trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be, while I believe that's always been important, it's going to become more and more important. And as what's really cool, it means then that size of the company is not important when it comes to fulfilling what people need. You can actually help someone on the other side of the world from your living room in Eastern United States.
Mm-hmm.
So the impact you can have on someone, they can know, like, and trust you overseas. What I say is that relationship doesn't come from proximity. I know you better, Joyce, because we've had multiple times together having conversations of value than I have with neighbors I've lived to next to them for years. I don't even know their names. So if you go by the proximity rule, I should know them better because I've lived next to them all that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. Why is that? Well, because I don't know them. So if I don't know them, I can't like them. And if I don't like them or know if I do or not, I'm certainly not going to trust them.
Mm-hmm.
So starting there, your network of people, I would say beyond that, especially for solopreneurs, where is your time going? Just within the last couple of weeks, I keep having this resurface. And so I'm changing how I do things, where I'm going to be looking more at time blocks, where I love to be, because I'm so customer focused, I love to be super responsive when somebody sends me a message or an email or a text. And what I found was that, okay, well, now I may have the time to do that, or it's just me, I'm very lean. I can be responsive and flexible like that if I'm not in a meeting or a chat session. What about the times where I get busier and I can't? So that's where the block time, they say you need to start thinking about your time like you are the business.
Okay.
If you want to be responsive, set aside 45 minutes of undistracted time to a task. and then 15 minutes if you want, or 10 minutes of that last hour, of that hour to follow up if there's something urgent. If there isn't, give yourself a full hour, but block off the 45 to 50 minutes. They also said, and this was interesting, block off days. Give yourself days for it. This day is going to be allocated to income producing activities. I'm going to be intentionally reaching out to people for referrals, or I'm going to be intentionally networking with someone that I know is in the space that I'd like to do more in. Or I'm going to be making phone calls or emails with people that had expressed interest before but haven't followed through. So a day or two of income producing activities where if you're focusing your time and efforts on a activity with occasional breaks in it to follow up as things come through so they don't pile up on you, that's where you're starting to think like a business owner. And here's what's really cool about it, Joyce. If you're good about doing this, then what you've actually done is you've set it up so you're automatically able to scale better, because you can add a team of people if your schedule is already blocked. Now, I liked to be, if somebody wanted to meet with me, I try to get them in as soon as possible. But it does do a subconscious message that you're always available. Well, part of the law of supply and demand is scarcity. And if you as a solopreneur can meet anytime, any place, then it gives the idea that you're not busy, that you don't have enough going on. So when somebody reaches out to you, as much as you love to be like, I can meet you tomorrow, do this. Set days in the week or times of the day, say afternoon, 3 times a week. This is when I'm a morning guy, so I like to have coffees with people. So say I'm going to meet with people 3 times a week for coffee, and the other 2 days, no. On those 3 days, so what it means then is those are full, you go to the next week. But I would never offer the very next day because then it seems like I got nothing going on. I would offer the one a little bit later in the week. What it gives people the understanding then is my time is precious. I only have so many meetings per week. And then it gives that concept of scarcity so that they realize, oh, when I set aside time to meet with Joyce, she only has so much time available. It makes your time more valuable. And ultimately, it makes your input, your advice, your counsel also more valuable. Just by having the scarcity of when you can meet.
You know what is interesting about that to me is how, because I keep coming back to, I want to make the customers feel good and have that good experience and be customarily coming back. And when I send that message, I'm also sending a message not just about me and my value and my time, but who they are. So, and people want, like I would go out to buy my kids skates and I would look at the rack of hockey skates because we're a hockey family, and I would see, I want the best ones. I wanted the best. I wanted to pay the highest price. It wasn't the number. It was as long as it was the best pair. Unless they talked me out of it because they were too stiff or some other reason. But I wanted to be perceived as the customer who is going to get the best for their kids.
Yes. We all do want the best, don't we? I mean, unless you're, particularly when it comes to the things that solopreneurs or business owners are doing, that nobody gets to the business like, you know what, I think I'm just going to be an okay business. I'm going to provide something, a product or a service it's all right. You know, people can take it or leave it. I hope I sell some. You know, nobody starts off with that goal. So, but a lot of the things that we do or don't do or say or don't say communicate subconsciously or message to potential customers that actually lowers the value of something. That the idea of something being free. Now, in limitation, of course, I'm not going to charge somebody to talk to me because that's the know, like, and trust part. I know that having coffee with somebody so they can get an impression of me face to face, I'm going to have a much better shot of having an opportunity to receive more business from them. What I'm talking about is if there's anything of value that I have created, developed, and I give that away for free, unless I know I'm doing it for something that's a seed that's going to grow, you have to be very careful with that. But if it's just somebody that I don't know that I met for the first time and I'm giving something away, what it actually does, rather than, there are ways to give before you ask that don't give away what you created or developed. You can still add value to someone without giving away proprietary, creative things that are unique to you. This is where I encourage people, yes, you always want to give value first, but you can always give value with something that's something you read, something you learned, something you gathered, not something that's unique or proprietary to you. Because what it does is, if you give something away that is yours, that you worked on, you created, and you give it away for free, then you're saying the value of that is nothing. That's not your intent, of course not. You're trying to give before you ask in order to earn business. But there are ways to do that without giving away something you've put your creative energies into. And that's something that I felt that pull that I wanted to do as a solopreneur, because I wanted to grow my business and I want more and more people to benefit from it. And I want to add value first before I ask. But that's something I learned, how to give value that doesn't give away what I've created or done. Yes, and that can be a trick, but when you learn how to do that, you meet with somebody, they know you like you, and then you give them something that's helpful, that also adds to their willingness to trust you.
Can you give an example of that? Like what it would look like if, oftentimes people will ask me a nutrition question because they know I know this kind of thing, or they kind of want to, they're thinking about doing something for themselves, and they're looking very, like they're at the top level, just beginning to look. And I'm not sure they're ready, that. So I could stay on the phone for an hour with that person and actually give them an initial consultation accidentally.
Right.
How can I bring that back so I haven't lost them?
That's an awesome question, Joyce, because it's right to what we're talking about, right? Perfect example. Okay, so somebody calls in and you think they're interested. I've had this before in business networking groups where someone expresses interest, where they want to get with me, they want to meet with me, they want to see how we can maybe help each other. And so what I do, along with asking questions, is I say, you know what, here's what I found to be helpful. And I recommend, for an example, one person was wanting to do more business, more companies in the US to do business with companies he knew overseas. And I said, what you need to do is develop a one-page PDF so that you can hand it out or email it, because English is his second language, not his first. I said, do that so that you can email it, this will get you in front of more people. And you need to have on that what's the most attractive offer you have overseas that American businesses or investors would want to invest into. 3 months later, still hadn't been done. By giving somebody just a little bit of homework, while giving them a little bit of idea of where to go, if they don't follow through with that one step, then they haven't invested anything into the process. So finding out how serious someone is by giving them just a little bit of homework. Here's a great website to start looking at. If you're already, have you looked here? So you already know some of these websites without giving away of any of your information or your program or books that are included in your process. You can point them to a website or a resource where, if you're starting to dive into this, check this website out. Then when you follow back up, you say, what did you find out on www.health.com? And they say, oh, I got busy. I haven't looked at that yet. That tells you how invested they are with the value you gave them up front.
So how do we help them still, I'm a people pleaser, right? So how do we help them? You don't want to still let go of that, because now you're still hoping they'll become a customer. They're teasing you. They're still looking for something for nothing, probably. But how do we part ways? Is that what we have to do at that point? Part ways? Or
I wouldn't say that yet, because what if all of a sudden the light bulb comes on?
Yeah.
So what I would say is two things for that. One is, you always frame it in a way that it's for their good. So you say, oh, that website is fantastic. You really should spend some time on there. I would love to get your feedback. My experience has been the people that spend some time, they've benefited, and you give a few things that people have benefited from. You're really incentivizing them to go there, because when people invest their time into this, they are more likely to keep following up with it. Then you set a reminder for you to follow up with them a little bit further out, because you have people in different stages, you have people in different levels of interest.
Sure. Yeah.
You want to engage and stay with the ones that are what they call the A-type customers, the ones that are the A-type prospects that are most likely to buy from you. Then you have the B-type that are steady and consistent and should. And you have the C-type that they take a lot of your time, but there's no strong buying signals. But you don't want to lose them either, because they could be. So in those three priorities, in those three levels of people who are likely to do business with you, you want to invest regularly your time, more of it, in the A group. So those are the people that are on the verge, that have done the right steps, that have followed through with what you've said, with the value you've added. You invest in them because those are more likely to convert anyways. That middle group could become the A group, so you want to invest in them. So your reminders are based on what category they fit into. You never want to cut somebody off unless they say they're not interested. But if they never say that, then that means they could be at some point. That just means that you keep them in that C group, where your follow-up is less often. But you know that if all of a sudden they became interested, they'd contact you. That C group, you're just checking in. You know how often you like to check in with people, Joyce. So you would set it to, all right, I want this far enough out to where it's not going to interfere with the ideal prospects and the ones that could become that, but I don't want to lose them and have them fall off the radar either. So if that's a month, if that's 2 weeks, if that's 2 months, you know the time frame on that. Just set that reminder to check back in with them and ask the questions again. So it's been a little bit since we connected. Have you had an opportunity to go on to health.com and find out if they've done it then? And then reiterate again, hey, we found that's a great website. I know you're busy. We're all so busy. I found this website to be so helpful with these tips that these people found and helped them here. And I'll check back in with you because I know you're so busy. So you're keeping tabs on them. You're not losing them, but you're not investing so much of your time that should go to more ideal prospects.
Wow, that's a lot of truth bombs there. I love it. The idea of follow-up plus the idea of the homework, those two, the things. Now, are you giving my viewers who are practitioners like I am permission to follow up and feel it's okay that we're not bothering these people? That, that's another thing that we have obstacles to. They already, I'm pretty sure they're not interested, so I'm not going to bother them.
As long as they have not told you, don't contact me again.
Yeah.
You're absolutely allowed to. And I keep it simple.
Yeah.
I keep it short, but absolutely. Because oftentimes the stats show from when a relationship is started to when it's closed, it often takes multiple contacts for that to actually happen. There are very few where you contact someone and then the next day or the next week, they're a client, especially in the coaching realm. So it's a long-term relationship. And people are so busy. They've got so much going on in their lives.
For sure.
That it's actually, you're making it easy for them by following up professionally. And it's all in how you do it, Joyce. I know you would not be that person who's like, all right, I contacted you last month. You didn't do anything about it. I'm contacting you again. You need to sign on the dotted line or I'm done with you. I know you wouldn't be that way. Yeah. So it's all about how you go about doing it, because again, you can frame it in, I know you're extremely busy. I had a note to follow up with you. People love follow-up because you're making it easier for them to stay top of mind. They may not make the decision to go with you right then, but you're still keeping that option professionally and politely in front of them. And with how busy people are and how many options they have, but if they know you and they like you and they trust you, but they just either don't have the money or don't have the time or the light bulb hasn't come on yet, you still want to keep yourself politely in front of them. And so follow up, I set reminders for myself in my calendar to make sure that I'm following up with people on a consistent basis. And it's true then, because then I can say, I had a note to follow up with you. How are things going? Has anything changed? Simple things like that.
Wow, that seems like a little bit of work. I guess a CSM system can help you with, triggering the follow-up, because I just keep it all in my head.
Yes. That's one thing, Joyce, that I will say. The people, whether they're solopreneurs or whether they're mid-sized companies, small businesses, the ones that automate the back end of things
Yeah.
are the ones that free up more time for income producing activities. So if you can find a way to automate that, where while you're talking with someone, you make a digital note of it that then flags you a reminder so far out, you've already accomplished 2 tasks in 1 shot. You've set follow-up and you've had it remind you at the date that you want to follow up. You don't have to do anything more with that unless they contact you.
And I guess you could even do that just with a free calendar if you
Totally.
were, yeah.
I do it all the time. Yeah. CRM software is great, but if you aren't at the need for it yet to invest that in a monthly basis, I use my phone calendar all the time, and it works.
Yeah. The other thing that you talked about, I wanted to go back to, was the homework piece. I think that's brilliant. I wanted to ask you your opinion of this, because other people can do the same thing. It's like other examples of it. So, for example, a person calls and they say they want to know more about me and they want to get some tips. And I say, well, first I'd like you, because to give you the best information, I'd like you to fill out this health questionnaire. And because I've had people call me who are spies, and I kind of hung up the phone thinking, that was a competitor. That wasn't a real, like you pick up the vibe. But
it's true. They do. If you're good enough, they will start doing that. Yes. Yeah,
I've definitely had it done, and and then I catch on and they hang up real fast. But it's just a great way and I'm servicing them, right? I'm helping them make a decision that they want to make, but they keep jumping back and forth. So that way it just kind of just nudges them one step further. If you're willing to tell me your real name and a little bit about you, and spend 15 minutes on this questionnaire, then we can have a conversation.
And 2 things I would say about that, Joyce.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right, because time is skin in the game as well, not necessarily their money. When you're starting off, there's one challenge that you have with that, is that people are used to or fatigued with the shoppers club thing. I got to fill out a form, whether it's virtual or in person, to even see if I'm interested in what they have to offer.
Yeah.
Now, if you preface it with, we found the people we work with, if I have a better snapshot of who they are and where they're at and where they'd like to go, this helps me get to know you better. And so this is a form, it takes about 15 minutes, but I found the ones who complete this, we have a much better, a more effective conversation later, because I have all that information. And so we can accomplish more in less time. So what you're doing is you're helping them understand that, yes, there will be a time investment upfront. Here's about how long it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Always overestimate. So if the average is 15 minutes, say it takes about 20 minutes to complete. Some complete it faster, and they get it done in 12 minutes. They're like, that was nothing. I thought it was going to take 20 minutes. So under promise and over deliver part of things, right?
Yeah.
You're saying it could take as long as 20 minutes, and it only takes 10. I get that all the time with these survey things, and I love to fill out forms and take tests. I'm kind of weird that way. So when something says, oh, this could take 2 hours, and I get it done in an hour, I'm like, yes. So set the expectations up front. And then, yes, it's definitely skin in the game from their point of view. You want them to invest something, and time is their greatest resource, in before you invest your greatest resource, which is your time. Absolutely. That's a great way to do it. Just preface it with how long it could take.
Yeah.
Build in some margin, and then it takes less time. You've already exceeded their expectations subconsciously.
I love that. Time is skin in the game. I hadn't thought about it that way. That typically, I like to have people pay up front for the service, because if they are not willing to do that, they're not committed. But
that's right.
But the time is huge. Yeah.
That's a huge buying signal. Did they invest the time? And then you can tell, Joyce, when the form is filled out, how much thought they put into it. That also tells you the strength of the buying signal, right? When you look through that they put together, they just slapped answers in there to get the form completed and move on. Then why did they do it in the first place? But the ones who put a lot of thought into it, and you can just feel the emotion behind the words they chose, then this is an A prospect right here. Yep, it's a That's why the stores went to that. They didn't know their customers. They were pushing their advertising. They had to find a way to try and identify what people wanted to buy. So they did a shoppers club. Well, we'll give you discounts on things if you'll register so we can track what you're buying. And then when we send you something, you're more likely to use it. Yeah. So it was just to make their advertising more effective.
And that's what a lot of people in my world do, like to personalize. You know, that's everyone's different.
It works better.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. Yeah. It's just we got fatigued with it because I got to fill out a card to save 5 cents. It's not worth my time.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. So what about those customers that you worked well with for a while and they start to think, I'm not going anywhere because the metrics that they're using are false. They're not making progress and they drift away. So they're customers that you have already, you know, that you're feeling good about. They're coming. They've been coming to you for 3 months, a year, and all of a sudden, I'm not going to renew.
Gotcha. Well, obviously, proactivity is the best thing. Mm-hmm. So while they're still a customer, not a prospect now, but a customer, where they're engaged, they're learning and developing, what I would do is with that person, set yourself reminders again, because we're so busy. Make sure while they're just so thick of it and heavily invested in that, put in their mind, what I found is that coming up here in a few months, people will often plateau. We see this in fitness. We see this in business, where you implement things and strategies and there's immediate change in growth. You know, it happens quick. Yeah. And then the gains or the losses in weight loss or the gains in fitness or the gains in profitability, whatever you're trying to measure, sort of start to level out. Yeah. And they think, oh, why am I paying this now? I've got it to a point where, and this is where as a coach you have 2 great potential here. You already have a highly satisfied customer. While they're highly satisfied, get referrals. Get them then. Mm-hmm. While you're asking for that too, then let them know. What we see is this it's natural, okay? This natural plateau effect that happens when you implement new changes. There's immediate rapid transformation and growth. It's exciting. Mm-hmm. You get to a point where those things are working well and it feels like you're flatlining, like you're plateauing, like you're not growing anymore. All that means is now we need to look at how do we do that again. Mm-hmm. So you're encouraging them of, let's do this again. Let's start. Now we're at this point. How do we get to the next level of growth? Well, we've got to look at something new. Let's look at your life and see what parts of your life we can add some new dimension. You're reinventing yourself as a coach. You're adding new value, and then you'll see that growth again because you're looking at a new area in life. If you always drill down on the things you started at, the well will dry up. Mm-hmm. But when you see that starting to plateau and you know about when that happens in the coaching relationship based on what their needs are, you have an idea of what those time frames are. And so does anybody that's done it long enough, Joyce. They get a feeling for when we're going to be about ready to plateau by telling them ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And then they experience it. They're like, oh, I do like working with Joyce. I've had tremendous, and you want to point them back to, remember where we started. You always want to point them back to where they started so they can remember that growth that they experienced. Right? Now let's do that with some other areas that we haven't addressed yet. Because there's always ways as a coach, now that you develop that relationship, that you can see you can help this person. And it's a win-win for both of you.
So do you do that right up front? So weight loss is one of the things people often come to me for, mm-hmm. or traditionally they have. It's kind of broadening now, but so they come in, they step on a scale, I measure them. That's their metric. That's what they came in with. Yes. You know, I want to help them move beyond that because it's not the weight that's the problem. There's other things, right? Mindset. But that's what they came in with. So I oblige, and I weigh them, I measure them. Do I say right then and there, you know, we started off with weight, but we're going to talk about your thoughts, what you're thinking about every day, or what your morning routine is, or, you know, how often are you in a good mood? You know, how do I introduce that concept and when?
Totally. And you do that the front part because they know if you take them back to their life, this is not the first time, most likely,
Hmm.
that they have tried something to
Yeah.
change or improve their health, right?
Yeah.
And so you know that the stats are it takes 90 days to establish a habit if they're consistent in it. And most people need the encouragement of a coach to establish something for those 90 days. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it now.
Yeah.
They're either very busy or they're a personality that likes to be led, likes to be coached, likes to be mentored. And those are great personalities that benefit from compassionate leadership.
Right.
So those 90 days, you also need to tell them, like anybody in health and nutrition and fitness, is that if this is your only goal, then we'll achieve that.
Hmm.
But your health is so much more than just pounds or waist measurements. And I actually, one of my customer experience contacts who's over in England
Hmm.
started her personal fitness, and her trainer had to keep her on track because she got to a point where she wasn't losing weight anymore, but her fitness levels were going up. So he was able to point to, keep with it, don't stop, because here's what you're gaining. Look at what you're gaining.
Hmm.
You have to point them to, there will be other things you're going to be gaining and growing in your life, not just losing pounds or gaining in energy and health. I'll show you where you're gaining as well. So
Hmm.
long as we don't put all of our success based on, I lost this much weight and now my measurement is this, because that's a good start. But
Hmm.
you know that health overall is a much bigger picture than that. We want to establish lifetime habits and practices, but we can't do it all. We're going to start with this, which is easily measured. We can get wins immediately in here in this area, and then we want to start adding the other things as this works well. So
Hmm.
yes, you do want to establish that up front, helping them realize that this is a great short-term goal because it can be achieved and it can be measured and seen. Then we want to step two. So you're already telling them ahead of time there's going to be stages to this process.
Hmm.
We'll start with what's encouraging, very encouraging, but then we'll go to ones that are the next level up. You want to kind of frame it in such a way that they're like, this is the entry level of things. And then the next step up takes you to that next level. So you're always one-upping what you're providing to them. Because you know, Joyce, that health cannot just focus on pounds and inches. If it just stays there, you'll do the yo-yo thing. And you'll be like, all right, I'm good. And then you go back to the bad habits that got you there. And then you're back to needing it again.
Yeah, I love this frame or perspective. It is a paradigm shift because it's really coming at it from the customer side, customer facing side, and say, how we know how what's going to happen. It happens over and over so why not take it from the front end and say, here's what happens, here's what to anticipate. When we get there, we're going to do this. And with the expectation that they are going to continue with you rather than,
Yes.
I wonder if they're going to like me or if I've been a good coach or worrying about that stuff. That makes
That's so good, Joyce. You said that because our words have power. And again, our brain is such a supercomputer. When you use those words, you're already putting into their minds, they know, like, and trust you. They're doing business with you.
Mhm.
You're putting in their minds, this is just the first step. We have more coming, and it's going to get better and better and better. You're doing what's called a presumptive relationship that's ongoing. You're planting in their minds in a positive way, we're going to keep working together without saying it. Yes, very powerful.
Awesome. Well, we're close to time, and I wanted to make sure I had enough time to ask you about your book. To
Yes.
tell me about your book and anything else that you wanted to share today.
Well, I published it on Amazon so that I can have worldwide distribution. I can control how it went to market and pricing. I wanted to make it affordable. I wrote it. Everything that I bring to market, including the book I'm bringing out next year, is based on a model of 7 ways menu, meaning that there are 7 proven principles that work in whatever topic, in this case, customer service or customer experience. But I wanted people to have the freedom to choose the ones that connected the best with them and start with those. And then add the other ones as it made sense, rather than being a recipe of saying you have to follow all 7 in this order. It doesn't work well for people. They like it to be individualized and tailored to them. And so I did that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So allow your customers 7 Ways to World-Class Service is available on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
It's sold copies worldwide. I say every continent, but that's not totally true because nobody in Antarctica has bought it yet. So apparently the penguins and the scientists are happy with the level of service down there. But all the other ones, I've had the opportunity to not only have people get the book there, but I've also had great conversations in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, in Oceania, in South America, in North America. But some of these, it's fascinating that what's so cool about customer experience, Joyce, is that it's about people. It's about relationships.
Yeah.
And people are people, whether they're in Nigeria, Africa, or New York City. Now, there are some differences culturally, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but people are people. I'm all over social media. So if people want to have an idea of like, I don't have an opportunity to sit down for coffee with John, because he's in Ohio, I'm somewhere else. I'm on LinkedIn. My profile is John D. Hanson, so I'm there. I'm on Instagram, John_D_Hanson, and I'm on Facebook. My page is 7 Ways Menu. That's 7 the number. So you can find me on all those platforms. I have a YouTube channel, 7 Ways Menu. So you can interact with my content and get a feel for who I am that way. But you're always welcome to message or to contact me through LinkedIn. I have thousands of connections, and I've been working to build those relationships by adding value and content over the years. So I'm grateful to have spent this time with you, Joyce. Thank you very much for allowing me to spend some time and really encourage people. That's my calling in life, is to encourage people, and people that have that desire to add value through a business of their own. Those are the ones I really enjoy encouraging.
Well, you've been so helpful to me personally, and just really opening my eyes to how to, when people say, what do you do? I help people, right? Same as you. And I want to do a better job at it. And I come up with all the same excuses. I don't have enough time, or, good done is better than that, than perfect. But this really gave me more to work with, to be able and to share with other coaches as well, because I think me helping, that's why I do this show too, to be able to elevate other people. So now I have this to share with my fellow coaches and healthcare practitioners. Very valuable. And like you said at the start, it is a big paradigm shift. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and I just learned this myself, Joyce, a couple of years ago. Around all the research and writing, they say that the people that write the book are the ones that learn the most. That is so true.
Yeah.
And I learned so much. And so I've benefited from those paradigm shifts that even though I've been in customer facing roles all these years, this huge light bulbs, these paradigm shifts came for me just in the last couple of years. And it's been wonderful.
Maybe the top one takeaway for today is I'm number one.
Take care of yourself. Yes. Yes, it's not selfish. It's absolutely essential so that you can provide the very best to others. Yes.
And one more time, if you would say the name of your book and the name of your website.
I didn't say the name of my website. Thank you, Joyce. So the name of the book is Wow Your Customers, 7 Ways to World-Class Service. It's on Amazon. And then my website is www.7waysmenu.com. That's the number 7waysmenu.com. So love for you to stop by, find me on social media, offer to connect, and I'd be glad to help you any way that I can.
And YouTube as well, right? We can find
That's right. YouTube, 7 Ways Menu. So any way that a platform you like, I'm on it. I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah.
Twitter doesn't work for what I do for my business, but you can find me on the major social media platforms.
Awesome. John, thank you so much for your time today and sharing and helping make all of us better here at Totally Well.
My pleasure, and I look forward to us doing it again sometime, Joyce.
Awesome.